Hola, ¿cómo estás? Mi nombre es Frida Kahlo. Not really. It's just me, Miss Grace, trying to do my best Frida Kahlo on a whim here. Anyway, we're back with Kid Artist, and we are reading about, guess who? Frida Kahlo. I like my unibrow. I made it with watercolor pencils. My girl Frida. Never a dull moment with her. She's fascinating. I do know a little bit about her childhood, so this will be fun to see. Ooh, stray bang. Go down. All right. Frida Kahlo. Like father, like daughter. Here, good. Mexico's most celebrated female artist, Frida Kahlo, is known for her striking and sometimes shocking self-portraits and her distinctive personal style. As a girl growing up in Mexico, she found strength to overcome adversity and defy people's expectations, thanks in part to the positive example set by her father. Frida Kahlo and her father had a lot in common. They both loved nature and the outdoors. They had the same dark eyes. They shared an interest in the art and archaeology of Mexico, the country they called home. But one thing above all else bonded them together. Each had triumphed over a serious childhood illness. Guillermo Kahlo had immigrated to Mexico from Germany as a young man. When he was a boy, he had suffered an accident that damaged his brain, leaving him prone to epileptic seizures for the rest of his life. When she was growing up, Frida witnessed the aftermath of many of those seizures. Typically, they took place at night just as Frida was going to bed. While her mother attended to Guillermo, Frida would lie awake wondering if her father would be okay. In the morning, he would be at the breakfast table, looking fit as a fiddle and acting as if nothing had happened. Good morning, sunshine. Young teenage Frida there. Despite his condition, Guillermo became one of the most successful photographers in Mexico City. Frida often accompanied her father on his photography assignments. He taught her how to use a camera, how to develop photographs, and how to retouch pictures. Later, when Frida became a successful artist, she liked to pose the subjects of her paintings as if they were sitting in front of the camera. Sometimes, in the middle of a shoot, Frida's father would be gripped by a seizure. He would suddenly fall to the ground and start convulsing. Luckily, Frida had learned what to do in these situations. She placed a cloth soaked in an anesthetic over his mouth and made him breathe it in until the seizure passed. In that meantime, she would watch over his equipment so that no one could steal it. After a few minutes, her father would recover and be back on his feet. I'm back. Is the camera all right? Yeah, are you all right? And that's an old-fashioned camera where they would take the picture on a glass negative. So a glass plate would capture the image. And it had to, when he was looking through the viewfinder, he had to drape this black cloth on him. And people posing for the picture had to stay really, really still for, depending on the light, could be anywhere up to 5 minutes, maybe longer. Can you imagine? When Frida was 6, she developed a serious medical condition. It began one day when she felt a horrible pain shooting down her right leg. A doctor diagnosed her with polio, a disease that causes the muscles in a person's legs to atrophy or waste away. Today, polio can be prevented with a vaccine, but in those days, there was no cure. Frida spent the next 9 months in bed. Her doctors feared she might never walk again. But there was one person who knew better, one person who understood what it was like to live with a disability and not give up. When Frida finally got out of her sickbed, she limped badly. Her right leg and foot had withered because of the disease, but Guillermo Kahlo had hope. He began nagging Frida to take up sports, something that was frowned upon for girls in Mexico at that time. And there's her dad visiting her on her bed. Want to play a quick game? Inspired by her father's example, Frida began an epic athletic regimen. She played soccer, boxed, skated, took up wrestling, and became a champion swimmer. She rode her bicycle, climbed trees, and rode a boat on the lakes of Chapultepec Park in Mexico. Everywhere Frida went, her father was right by her side, encouraging and helping her exercise. Stroke, stroke, stroke. That's what they say when you row the boat. Stroke. But Guillermo did not stop there. He had a plan to exercise Frida's brain as well as her muscles. He gave her books from his own library. He took her down by the river to collect stones, insects, and unusual plants, which they brought home and examined together under a microscope. Most important, he presented his daughter with her first set of paints. Then on Sundays, father and daughter would head out to the park and create watercolors together. What's that French word we learned the other day when we were reading about Monet for when you're painting on site outdoors? Did you say plein air? You're correct. Here we see Frida looking through a microscope at some of the specimens they collected. Frida emerged from her recovery period stronger both mentally and physically, but she would never be the same as before. Despite all her efforts, her right leg remained much thinner than the left. To disguise her disability, she began wearing boys' pants. Sometimes she put on 3 or 4 socks over her right calf to balance out her uneven height. She wore a shoe with an extra high heel. While most of Frida's friends admired her dedication to persevering through her illness, some children made fun of her. At school, they called her Frida Pata de Palo, which stands for Frida Peg Leg. That's not very nice. Others singled her out for her tomboyish clothes. Sometimes, when she went whizzing by on her bike, one of the other kids would shout in Spanish, "What an ugly girl!" That is also not nice. But Frida never let her injured leg keep her from doing what she wanted. "Feet," she'd respond to anyone who teased her. "Why do I need them if I have wings to fly?" Just like her father, she had come to understand the importance of pressing on no matter what obstacles were placed in her path. Frida had many more barriers to overcome before she became a world-renowned artist. When she was 18, she was in a terrible bus accident that left her with several broken bones. She spent 3 months in the hospital. During her convalescence, she began making the self-portraits for which she would one day be known worldwide. See her working in her hospital bed, often on her back. Her mother had set up a mirror above her so that she could look at herself while painting, all while laying down on the bed. "I paint myself because I am so often alone." Again, echoing sentiments of today. "And because I am the subject I know best," she said later in life. All told, Frida would paint more than 50 such images, as well as numerous portraits of friends and family members. Guillermo Kahlo died of a heart attack in 1941, when Frida was 34 years old and already finding success as an artist. After his death, Frida wrote in her diary, "My childhood was marvelous because although my father was a sick man, he was an immense example to me of tenderness, of work, and above all, of understanding my problems." Shortly before she died, Frida painted one final portrait of her father. The inscription below the image reads, "I painted my father, artist photographer by profession, in character generous, intelligent, and fine, valiant because he suffered for 60 years with epilepsy, but he never stopped working." She signed the painting, "With adoration, his daughter, Frida Kahlo." Here we see her with her dad. "You're a great artist, Dad. Look who's talking." It's really sweet. It was a really sweet story about her and her dad. I really liked that one. I knew a lot about her childhood, but there were still some little nuggets of inspiration and surprise there for me. I guess I didn't know how close she was to her dad with working. I knew he was a photographer and he tried to show her a lot. She actually came from a really big family too. She had a lot of sisters. I did know that, but they didn't mention her sisters at all. So I guess it's just because more so that bond with her father was so much stronger. So that was a really sweet story. So my tasks to you, you have an option here, or you could do both, because why not? If you love art as much as me, do both. You can do a portrait of yourself, an expressive portrait showing your emotion and surrounding yourself with things you love. Or you could do a portrait of one of your family members showing your love and respect and adoration for them. So what would you write at the bottom of your family portrait that you drew of someone? I wonder. So if you make one, please share it with me so I can post it on Instagram. And also you can post it yourself on Artsonia. Information is probably buried in the classroom feed by now, but it's there and you can always reach out to me. All right, my little ones and big ones, because I know like other people are watching me make a fool of myself, but I'm just gonna show you it's not real. And back to my normal self. And now it looks like I have weird eyebrows. All right. Love you guys. Bye.